it just me, or is it getting harder and harder to find a plain Jane vehicle that blends in with traffic and doesn't take notice? Well, that equation is pretty much long gone. Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now, behind me is the all-new 2019 Nissan Altima, and with it comes, well, a whole revamp, redesign, and rethinking of, well, how the midsize sedan should look. And well, you're basically going to get noticed. If you're a big fan of the show, you've heard me mention long ago that I'm getting grumpier and grumpier in my old ways and pretty much want to go with the old standard operating procedure. Good old just standard coffee, no fancy lattes for me anymore. And when it comes to our vehicle, sometimes I just want to get in and cruise down the road. But this week, well, it demanded a lot of attention. A lot of people going, well, what is it? Well, mostly everyone knew it was a Nissan, but they couldn't believe that it was a reimagined Altima. I remember a decade ago, it just kind of fit in. It was just a nice sedan, mid-size, of course, fit in nice and squared between the Sentra and the Maxima being the big one, and of course, the more handsome or regal one. The Altima just kind of fit in the equation. Well, now, well, this is just taking too much attention, and I just can't get to and fro without someone saying, can I sit inside? So what is it that the Altima is doing well that grabs everyone's attention? Well, one glance at the profile and maybe even the good old grille warfare, and that answers the question. Now, pretty much the design is going with what a lot of the industry is doing, getting rid of the smoothed edges and going with something a little bit more chiseled. And you'll see that refinement right down the side, even here implied on the hood, but nice sculpted edges, but just a hint and, well, not too sharp. That versus previous designs, which are a little bit more smooth and barely a single ripple. Now, what I also like is it has body color all the way around, right down to the handles. Minimal chrome, but really what you're seeing is some nice black accents, and this design element almost separates the roof from the body. Now, what I like is the numbers. This midsize sedan, well, truly creeps up to, well, bigger than that. This being about 192 inches overall, wheelbase around 111. Great numbers that really equates to the inside. Lastly is width and height, pretty much going standard operating procedures here, and fairly narrow at around about 6 feet. Now, looking back to the good old days and being able to blend in, well, it all started with the lack of grille warfare. Well, that's not the case now with this huge V grille, black accent, and Nissan blazing right there in the middle. Again, the chiseled hood pales in comparison to, of course, the modest offering we used to remember. That, well, fit in quite easily. This, of course, stands out. Now, what you're going to see is that bright chrome. Now, this is really where the industry, again, in the sedans are going. A lot of competition, the good old grille warfare. So pretty much the designers have said, make this stand out and, well, match everything else to go with it. Now, what I like is it does have some nice flair. Some other vehicles, again, protruding out just a little bit. Body color everywhere. The black accents really going around this vehicle all the way around, really coupling nicely. Now, headlights really have come to the forefront of design as well. No more just rectangular designs, really menacing, grimacing almost at you if you're looking at this bad boy in the rearview mirror. And of course, a lot of projection and throw. Now, what I like is they do offer great beam quality, but for a vehicle that's coming at you, it doesn't blind them. One thing that really stands out is as you swing around to the back end, this is where you start to notice that this broad front end really tapers as you get to the back. This isn't really built on just a square or rectangular design. It actually tapers just a little bit, giving a little bit more fluid architecture. Now, what you also notice as you look from the back, again, this nice ridgeline that sweeps up, then this one comes from the middle and flares out here at the back end. And again, nice fluid architecture here at the back, modest rear deck lid, and of course, implied spoiler here at the rear end. Now, innovations where we always start here at the door, and well, how can you ingress in this vehicle? And good old smart key systems make life simpler. Now, how does it work for the Altima? Simply access button here on the driver and passenger door, but unfortunately not at any of the rear doors, which helps just a little bit. Now, pretty much all you have to do is press once, unlock the driver's door, press again, unlocks all the rest. And of course, when you're walking away, one press to lock it all up. What I also like is security at the fill-up area. One thing you'll notice is a huge actual hatch here. I wouldn't hurt if we could actually scale this down just a little bit. Seems to be almost like an access point that just, well, is just too big. Now, what you'll notice is it's locked all the time. The way to release it is with the lever there by the driver's steering wheel by your left knee. pull it and this opens up. Even more so is the old school cap system versus the new capless, which is a flip a coin which way to go. So let's talk about this mid-size sedan, the Altima, and pretty much the fact that it feels so much bigger than mid-size. Specifically, a little bit here on the inside feels nice and comfortable, but really when it comes to cargo, one thing mid-size can fall short on, and even some of the bigger ones is, well, did they give attention when it comes to cargo? Now, first off is design, again, body color all the way around. Not much chrome other than just the Nissan emblem, and if you notice, they did get a little artsy here and sculpt it out. Now, when it comes to safety, one thing it is simplified here on this particular model, pretty much with no backup sensors, but there is a backup camera giving you a nice view, but there is cross traffic awareness. Now I'd argue, well, why don't we have backup sensors or front sensors, because really diving into tight spots now has become a lot easier with the sensory overload, but just not the case here. But of course, at least the camera does provide some type of safety. Now, when it comes to accessing back here, traditional handles pretty much all gone, just a nice electronic release. Once it rises to the occasion, what you'll notice really gets up out of the way. Typical cavernous opening here, really nice and deep. Now it's going to be over 15 cubic feet of space, really accommodating anything, but specifically for anyone that's a golfer, travels a lot, needs luggage. What I love is these outer niches. Really taking a full-size set of clubs can swing in here easy, and what also that means is, well, you can easily stack two with ease, or go at an angle and put a whole set of four in there if you have to. Now diving into the cargo area just a little bit, if you do need to extend this just a little bit, you can pull these rear releases for the second row, tumble them forward, and it's going to kind of expand your horizon should you have longer items that need to kind of slide inside. Now, one thing is the cargo floor underneath, you will find a spare tire. Now, one thing I wish they'd do is make this a little bit more rigid and also change this kind of operation where this fixated insulation just kind of looks tacky. Let's dress that up just a little bit. But otherwise, I love the fact that they actually include a spare down there, and of course all the jack and operation you're going to need. Now, one thing that comes with redesigns is rethinking across the board, not only an overall look, maybe comfort, but also what's needed under the hood. And no longer is that a V6, but more or less 4 cylinders that can deliver the same type of power, specifically a 2.0 liter turbocharged. Now, we tested the 2.5 liter good old standard 4-cylinder. Now, the difference really with the 2.5, that's going to be around about 188 horses and 180 foot-pounds of torque. But if you need a little bit more spunk, that's going to be the 2.0 that delivers 248 horses and 280 foot-pounds of torque. Now, I pretty much, again, like to blend in, and with my grumpy old age, tend to, well, minimize 0 to 60. So the 2.5 with a little bit better fuel economy, well, that's the one for me. Now, taking a quick glance on the inside of the Nissan Altima, this is where the overall length and size of this vehicle really shines. Now, first off is the quality and design of the front seats. Nice and sports seating, give you nice bolstering, but again, not too tight. Now, it's kind of a dual tone here with a little bit of leather on the outside, nice perforated through the center, gives you great comfort, almost feels like a lazy boy. Now, when you look at the overall numbers when it comes to legroom, around about 43 inches in the front, 35 inches in the back. Now, 43 is quite a lot for most occupants. So what that means is these front seats are pretty much going to slide forward when the rear occupants need a little bit more room. That pretty much means probably going to average around about 41 in the front and actually 37 in the back. Well, being different from the competition, well, starts just simply with locating the key. No longer is it just simply here on the steering column or even on the dash, but instead positioned right in front of the gear shifter. Well, I guess that makes it easier because you press here and shift in the gear. Now, if you want to see one of the biggest innovations on the Altima, look no further than the dash, and this huge oversized touchscreen system really encompasses all the entertainment you could want right here. Now, what I like is symmetry in the form of the volume and tune select, but pretty much everything else is barely an arm stretch away, really integrated right here with the screen. Now, there are some nice shortcuts down below, the phone, the source select, and you can quickly get to various settings. Now, interestingly, there's no navigation on this particular model, but with all the connectivity with our phones, of course, your map typically gets displayed right here, so maybe navigation, not that big of a need here on this particular model. Now, of course, there's other shortcuts down here and some various functions. Sometimes climate controls can be overthought, and well, that's not the case here in the Altima, pretty much keeping it nice and simple in the form of a nice fan speed knob and the temperature select. Again, symmetry plays in quite well. Now there's no dual zones up here, but I really didn't think I needed it. Now all the various mode selects are real easy. Now interestingly, the climate control is not integrated into the touchscreen up above, which wouldn't be bad because that makes for less of a look down. When you look down here, you could actually just refer to the screen up above. Now down below, nice huge lower area to store your electronics and nice connectivity. And Nissan really is stepping up when it comes to that, really going to the new USB-C as well as the standard USB and auxiliary jack, and of course a power supply right where you need it. Now one small area of complaint, well, came to these two cup holders, and it may seem simple, but well, they just didn't hold the cups. What I'm referring to is, well, there's no little grippers here on the side. You'll see it on some other vehicles where it's kind of spring loaded, allows you to set the cup in here and it grips it with ease. Instead, my normal coffee from the McDonald's, set it right here. When I went down the road, it kind of slid back and forth, and with a full cup, well, that created a little bit of spillage. So it wouldn't hurt to add a little bit of material in here that at least grips the cup. Now the Altima pretty much goes with a standard analog tach and speedometer, but I do like the LCD readout in the middle. Really gives you a lot of information when you're going down the road. Now what also is great is it gives you the digital readout for the speed, and that's one area where some vehicles are just falling short. Even better, the LCD is nice and colorful. A lot of vehicles are also just keeping it nice and black and white and just kind of boring. This LCD, nice, colorful, and large, so it really makes for information at a glance. Now, I did mention earlier this vehicle didn't come with the backup sensors or front sensors, but it does have some safety built in, specifically with the forward collision alert and blind spot awareness. Now, when it comes to blind spot awareness, traditionally that little alert's going to be on the side mirrors, but what I like here on the Altima is it's right there on the door versus the mirror, because this tends to be more in your peripheral, lights up nice and orange when someone's in your blind spot and turns off, of course, when they're not. With the extra legroom in the back when the seats are slid forward, backseat drivers don't really have a lot of complaints because there's plenty of comfort back here. Now the outer occupants will get a little bit of sculpting sports seating with a slight rise there in the middle for the center occupants. Also, there's a little bit of argument of where the feet will go with that traditional lower hump there in the floor area. Now it does for this edition of Road Warrior, a test drive behind the wheel, the 2019 Nissan Altima, a vehicle that I used to remember blended in with traffic and now stands out like a, well, not a sore thumb, but really a piece of art. And that's where the industry is going. No longer can you, well, just sit idly by as the competition's dressing it up. Well, Nissan needed to step up their game, and they did quite well, especially when it comes to the profile, their overall design, and of course that grille warfare. Now don't forget, they've got tons of innovation and really great interior comfort. Now as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.